It's time for the chaos to cease.
Time to open yourself to peace.
From the hours you've put in.
To the next shift you begin.
From the endless pursuit of release.
That finds the worst unleashed.
Transform the ugly into a win.
Get to know your shield within.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are back. It's supposed to be 12?
I think so. Yeah, I'm having trouble counting too.
Yeah, me too. I need to write this shit down. So, welcome to the Shield Within.
Welcome.
We're here with my esteemed colleague, Dr. David. And just so everyone knows that, not a real doctor.
Yeah, I'm an unreal doctor.
But we like to call you that because it has a great ring. We have a guest this evening. This is the second part of a two-part series. We have the one, the only, FD Donnie.
Good evening, all.
Good evening. Thanks for listening in. If you're into Facebook, please stop by our Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/The Shield Within, or you can go to our website, www.theshieldwithin.com. As always, our episodes are sponsored by lessonslearnedcoaching.com. So if you're in need, life's getting in the way, and you need someone to talk to, Master Yoda himself, the gentleman to my right, Dr. Dave, be able to help you out. There we go.
Damn right.
Yeah, that's right. Right. You can go to our website. If you don't want to go to his website, you can go to ours, hit the coaching button, take you right there to him. If you're a first responder and you're listening in, thank you for being here. That's what the show is all about, is to show you that therapy can be fun. We like to use the mantra of healing through humor. Mm-hmm. You can, it kind of gives you an insight on what therapy's like.
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate you being here. We really appreciate you guys dialing in. We're going to pick up where we left off at.
Sounds
Sorry,
real
it's
good.
taking a couple of weeks for you guys to get caught up. Just because that's the way we do it, right, Donnie?
That's right. That's how we do it.
Donnie's also our engineer, our producer, producer Donnie, FD Donnie, the man, the legend.
Yeah.
Makes us sound good, puts all the cool music in and out. That was kind of his brainchild. We thank him so much for that.
Wonderful job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Yeah. My folks said as soon as Donnie got involved in producing, it got better.
Well, we're not going to tell him I did episode 1 then.
I always think of that as Joel's episodes.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
We should call the list here at the end of our session.
It's not a bad
We'll call
idea.
those assholes up because we know they're still rambling on about Dave Matthews Band and whatever else. They're talking about favorite flavors of ice cream. Since when that episode airs, it's going to be National Ice Cream Day or something like that.
All right.
Weird Joel would know that. I mean, donut and ice cream day.
Yeah,
He's got them down both.
Oh man. Well, we left off with Donnie telling us exactly the situation that was occurring when he decided it's time for me to pursue counseling therapy. Mark was there with Donnie, and that connection proved to be life-saving.
Very much so.
And that led you to seek a therapist. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to guess here, you ever been in therapy before? Had you been in therapy, like a child, adolescent, anything?
Not really, no.
Okay. So like as you thought about doing, you talk with Mark, you make that decision, is it like, well, God, it's going to take me off work, it's going to be bad hours, bad days, it's going to cost money, that shit get in the way at all?
No, not at all. It was straightforward. This is what I have to do. The money didn't matter at the time.
And you would make it work.
And I made it work.
Beautiful.
And that was one thing when I made the initial phone call, and it was to Jerry, Knapke on previous episodes. I made the phone call to him, and with the COVID bullshit going on at the time, so we had to do FaceTime.
Okay.
And he was kind of dumbfounded towards the end of it because he's like, you're just pretty much put it all out there right then and there. So, normally most people try to build trust 2, 3, 4 sessions in to share half the stuff I did then. But I also knew if I didn't do it then, it wasn't going to. I had to do it then.
Exactly. Beautiful.
And I got to the point where I was seeing him every 2 weeks, and my bill continued to rack up every 2 weeks for a good while. So
Well, as a patient and former patient of you, David, when I came to you, I was a fucking basket case. And thankfully, through the amount of time to get in, this is why I had a conversation with a colleague today. And I said, do you realize that if you don't establish a relationship with the therapist today, when in the past episode we talked about, okay, you drive a flatbed truck and it's full of bricks. So you're carrying your load and you're carrying it very well. But one day a cement mixer is going to back up and just dump this shit everywhere, and it's going to be just a mess. Mm-hmm. If you wait, and this is for our first responders out there, if you wait to try and establish a relationship, it's best to do it when you're not in crisis and get on someone's calendar.
Well done.
Because when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that shit show arrives at your door, you already have them intake process done. And we talked a little bit about that in 8 and 9 with Jerry when he was here with us. And this person just looked at me dumbfounded. What do you mean? And I said, what I mean is I lived that trauma. And you don't have to go through your insurance. You can pay for it, and your insurance should reimburse you. I'm not saying it's an absolute, depending on what you got. Right. I paid for it out of my pocket because you and I established that relationship early on. Now, just so everyone knows, I had been through several therapists before and got nothing. Big donut. Nothing. I didn't have a rapport with these people. I didn't trust these people. And it was probably 4. And then I walked into your office, David. Instant rapport. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't trust you at first because, just because who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a police officer.
Right.
And we don't give trust. Mm-hmm. However, it came really quick. Mm-hmm. And through this show, I did not realize what our first sessions were about because you brought my file. Mm-hmm. And you're like, no, motherfucker. This is what we talked about. Mm-hmm. Because I repressed that and re-repressed it. But through working and establishing my trust in you,
right,
and you giving me good work back, that's where that came from. So again, I did learn, however, there's an agency there south of Dayton that has taken our good friend Carla Urbanus, her practice.
Yes. And
this chief had the wherewithal to stand up and say, now I'm going to go ahead and establish a relationship with you. And I didn't know this till I went camping with a colleague over the weekend. And he was sharing with me that, oh no, my boss has us 30-minute sessions just to get us on their books. And I thought, God damn, that's awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
That is amazing. Because that's leadership, is that I want to be sure my people, when this shit show comes, they're able to be taken care of. They have a resource.
Right, right. They don't give you Kevlar just before you go out for a shooting. They give you Kevlar.
Right. What a great, goddamn, that's powerful. Yeah, I'm going to give you a vest for in the event to when you get into a shooting, just like your turnout gear.
Yep.
You don't show up at a fire and say, oh my God, I better put my turnout gear on. No, you have it on before you leave.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You know, you wear rubber gloves. What is that? Jesus Christ.
You talking about for the latex gloves?
Yeah.
Or for like EMS
it's a barrier, yes.
Yes.
You know,
PPE.
Yeah, there you go. Personal protection. Mm-hmm. You wear that going in the event to protect yourself, but we don't think about protecting us. We don't think about protecting the brain bucket. We don't think about, Donnie was talking about in the last episode, you started at 18. No one sat there and said, hey man, you're about to see some fucked up shit.
Yep, that's right.
We're going to talk about this crap amongst us on the back of a fire truck after the call, and you're supposed to be good after that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. They're not laying.
That's not the way it worked. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But they're not laying there in bed at night when you're going through your Rolodex of faces.
Nope.
The dead has a profound impact on you. And that's what I shared with my colleague tonight. I said, it's not necessarily the dead body. It's dealing with the family. It's dealing with,
yes,
with the suicide that flipped over my apple cart, it and the white diamonds and working through that. And last episode, we were talking about a repressed memory that I haven't done EMDR on, and I had to go out back. And we're taping this or recording this, the same day.
Right.
But I had to go back. I had to go outside and do some grounding. And you shouldn't smoke, Mark. Well, okay. I had to go outside and ground a little bit so we could do this episode.
Right.
But
good for you to do that, bro.
Well, these are tools that I've learned through work that you and I've done.
Right.
And it's work that I've done with Jerry as well.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's exactly the kind of thing that everybody listening needs to hear while it's happening. Hearing, listening to you go through that last episode was powerful just to sit here in the room with you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't here. You were somewhere else.
You saw the checkout, didn't you?
Yeah. But you brought yourself right back, and you had a tool for doing that. And that's where I think, a couple of our listeners have mentioned that before. And I'm going to mention a resource before we finish this episode that I want to give people. There's stuff you can do to take the risk of listening. Take the risk of opening yourself to a world of possibility that is open, and it's right there, and it's not that far away, and it doesn't cost that much money, and it's not that hard to get into and get out of and utilize and get benefits from. It's right there. And when you do it, guess what? There's still going to be more shit. The shit is going to be there for you to work on for really the rest of your life. And that doesn't make it a bad thing. It just makes it a thing that my eyes are for shit.
Yes. Yeah,
my
right.
eyes, I got my first pair of glasses when I was 10. I'm older than 10 now. I'm surprisingly.
Seriously?
And I still,
You're old as fuck.
I would have never guessed.
My mom, yeah. So it's my eyes are a thing. And other people have a heart issue, a kidney issue, a skin issue, whatever. I've got a mental health issue. And I'm working on that mental health issue just like I would be working on my stomach reflux or where the fuck it is. I'm working on
We all have GERD, bro. If you're in public service and you don't have indigestion or taking, 50 milligrams of Prilosec every day, then you ain't been on the job long enough, let me tell you.
And so Prilosec becomes like, your stomach therapy. And you need to have a therapist. And that's why we've been promoting pretty much through our whole time that before your first hour, before your first shift, have a therapist. Have somebody in your department talk to you, whatever, HR, whatever. Who can I see to have in my back pocket so that when the shit does start, I know exactly where I'm going to go.
Donnie talked about in the last episode that the first training is what, Fireman 1?
Yeah, level 1.
Level 1.
Yep.
Okay, so initially give you a set of tools.
Yes.
But in Fireman Level 1, they don't give you, I think, one of the most important tools, which is how do you preserve that space between your ears?
Yeah. Right.
How do you deal with what you're looking at? And when I was kind of processing as you were talking, level 1 gives you this, level 1 or level 2 gives you that, but neither level gave you the ability to process and heal.
That's right.
And there's none of that. Yep. And one thing I was thinking is that as you were sitting there saying that, pre-plan, have somebody in your back pocket that you can use. The thing that bothers me is, in my opinion, is we need the management to step up and start doing that.
Yeah.
Letting your people get that first. And so that way we're not going through the shit we are at this point. Because that's one thing. If you had that from the get-go, have a manager step up and do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I
mean, go ahead. That's one thing with me. When I was, the captain for 8 years, 9 years, whatever the hell it ended up being, I don't remember. But one thing I always did was check on my crew. No matter what the call was, the very next morning or whatever, I would check in with them, make sure everybody's good. Is there anything you want to talk about? And make sure everybody was good before they went home. Or, and give them time to process. Hey, man, I know we saw some shit last night.
Right.
How are you?
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Yeah.
And that's one thing I took to heart, was trying to make sure that my crew was good.
Yeah.
And that just management needs to step up.
Right. Yeah.
Well, but I feel that, you were captain, I was a sergeant. We always took care of our fucking people.
Yes, Sergeant.
and you outranked me, but but Donnie and I would hang. There's been a few times when I brought food in. We go to the firehouse, we hang out, we talk to the crew, and it's just that that police fire ball busting back and forth, and that can be therapeutic as well. But the beauty of the agency and the city in which we worked in is we all, when it come time to get the fucking job done,
Right.
we were a well-oiled machine. And I can tell you right now, there isn't a lot of people that had that experience. I'm very blessed and very honored to be able to work with professionals like FD Donnie. We've worked some fucked up shit together.
Right.
We were offline. We were just talking out here in the green room. How about that?
Yeah.
Which is my kitchen. Just idly chatting, in between trying to get recentered and get set up for this episode. Donnie and I, have gone through some really, really big traumas. Not all of them were shit shows. I can tell you there was a dead body at a house on Franklin Street where we were before.
I thought about that earlier when you were talking about that.
Yeah, the first time Donnie and I were there, the gentleman that lived there was the second dead body we drug out of the same house. The first one was a man, and it was a weather like today, and we're 90s with high humidity. The day this gentleman went to be with God or wherever. He had been laying on a heating pad for 3 days.
He was there for a while.
Yeah, he was literally cooking on this heating pad. And when I rolled up, the flies on his windows were open, and the flies on the screens were just black because them flies wanted to get into there. And it was bad when the funeral home, because I'm old school. You don't put Vic Sava in your nose, you go get your cigar. So I knew this was a shit show, and I told my crew, no one goes in this fucking door. You stand there. Anyone goes in that fucking door, you write their name down, because we don't know if he's been killed or not. So I went back to the department. This is before we had any personal protection equipment, PPE. So I went back to the department, grabbed a box of gloves, and I ran to Speedway, bought like 4 boxes of Black and Mild cigars. And so we share, and it is ripe, David. It is ripe. You can smell it outside on the street. It's that bad. So we get there, and when the funeral director says, "Hey, Mark, got another one of them cigars laying around?" And we're all standing around in there smoking cigars, not in celebration. We're just trying to be able to get the funk level down.
Right. Start smoking faster, boys.
Yes.
That's what he said to us. Start smoking faster, boys.
Yeah.
I gotta go to him, and I asked him the very first thing. I said, "Can we do this?" And he's like, "Who the fuck's gonna tell us we can't?"
What are you gonna do? Call the police?
Well, I guess you've got a point. Let's smoke some cigars.
That's right, man.
Yeah, we didn't even try and move him. We destroyed the room. Meaning we moved all the furniture. We flipped the bed up on the fucking wall, and I'm like, "Fuck this! We're just gonna scoop this guy up into a bag." And when we picked him up,
Liquid.
no, yeah, I don't know, Donnie. Was he? I remember
Wasn't liquefied.
He wasn't liquefied yet, but the lower layer of skin stayed.
Yeah.
On the floor. And Donnie's like, "Fuck it, grab it all, throw it all in the fucking bag." Thankfully, he was a smaller dude. So fast forward 12 years.
Yeah, probably.
We had a very large woman that was living in that house. He fucked me up. and I'm not laughing. I'm laughing dealing with my trauma here, guys. So that's what the giggle's about. But she was on the shitter. And it was a small bathroom, would you consider?
It was a very small bathroom.
And she's a very large woman. But when she expired, she fell forward. Off the shitter, and was in a very
prone
position. And Donnie's like, "Mount up." I'm like, "Oh my God, dude, I can't believe you just said that." She's totally naked. And it was like, oh my God, how are we going to... She was wedged between the stool and the sink.
Shower. Well, yeah. But
Stool,
and the
sink, and shower, yeah. And
all three, basically.
She was every bit of what, 380? Mm-hmm. And we're not being disrespectful of the person. It's just what first responders
This is your
And
reality.
we have to wrestle her out of there to get her
That's right.
out of the house.
Nobody else is going to do that shit.
No, we were the guys that did that. And
Yeah.
I think I stepped out for the removal.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I stepped out for the removal because at
Me
that
and
time,
Mike stayed inside and
right. I was
got her removed.
Yes, yes. I was aware at the time of my traumatic dealing with dead bodies,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't need to be here. I'm going to step out. I need some MTC time, so
Right.
I'm just going to step out and let these guys do their thing. I think once we got her, you guys got her unwedged and got her on the gurney. I came back in, and
Because I had the crew shut the door and go ahead and start removing the door while we got her unwedged.
Yeah.
Right.
And got her to where we could get her out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Lord
Yeah,
Almighty.
so it isn't just. I don't want to say it's disrespectful, but the things that we were saying were coping mechanisms. Does that make sense?
Right.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I know it
makes sense.
sounds outrageous,
No.
but like I said, I'm still. That's another trauma Jerry and I's got to work on.
Right. And you're just being realistic. It's when you're in that scene, what the hell else are you supposed to, I mean, if you know this is triggering me or it's going to or it's likely to, you remove yourself if at all possible. I know shit tons of times you can't.
Yeah.
But
And I feel bad for you, Donnie, that I bailed on you. Sorry.
No. I wanted people out so I could get things done and moved.
Well, but this scene, did you have a residual after that?
No.
Okay.
I did not. I did not on that one.
I
Yeah.
did.
I hate to say it, I did not on that.
Well, but that's okay.
Yeah.
This is the shit that first responders do.
that's right. That's exactly why we're
And
doing
The
with
best
that
thing-
being said, do you want to throw out the warning too about the triggers, just in case? Because we haven't done that on this episode.
We did
yet.
not do that.
So let's do that.
Good
Since we're
calls,
since we're kind of
Producer
talking
Donnie.
about that at this time. So
Yes, David kind of alluded to it, but listening to the shield within may trigger something,
yes,
Yeah.
and if it does trigger something,
there is help.
find a therapist. If you are being triggered, this is your. Well, I want to say this is a good reason. If it's triggering something,
If this is triggering you, you need to reach out and get help now at this
a
time.
professional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. There are so many things that you can do right now. Number one, call somebody. Somebody that you trust, love, that will simply listen to. If you want to talk about the shit going through your head, fine. If you don't, fine. Find somebody you can reach on the phone right now. Call them. Have a mild, casual conversation about, whatever movie you just saw last night, or say, dude, I am really having a hard time and I need to just have a conversation with you. Can we just talk about our kids? Fine, whatever. Reach out, find somebody, make a connection, comfort yourself that way. As Mark did in episode 8, do grounding. You put your feet flat on the floor and you start checking your senses. What do you see right now? What do you hear right now? What direction is that sound coming from? What is that sound? What do you smell right now? Food, yesterday's food, your last fart, I don't care what it is, but just check your shit out. What do you smell right now? What's the seat feel like under you? What's your shirt feel like on you? What's your pants? You check out your whole sense of body and skin. You check out that flavor in your mouth. You take a sip of water. You reorient yourself to where you are and not where you aren't. That's called grounding. Jerry Kanapke did a wonderful description of it in episode 9. And I'll add one more thing to do here. This was kind of a commitment I made to all of us, to offer a resource every time we get together. And I want to point everybody to the CHIP, CHIP, Terry, Terry Fund, which is based in Covington, Kentucky. It is founded by a woman named Jo Terry, who I was able to meet a couple months ago. She's going to be a guest here on July 26th. She's going to come up. We're going to record a couple episodes. She started this fund for firemen primarily, but it is spread to other first responders. And there's a ton of resources on her website. Places to call, things you can do for yourself, remedies, solutions. It's a very health-oriented website. And you can look up that CHIP, Terry Fund right now and call somebody right now and say, I'm fucked up. I need somebody to listen to me. And they will find somebody for you to listen to. If there's not somebody right there, they'll find you somebody. The state of Kentucky has been so impressed by what Joe's done that they have recently entered into an agreement with with the Chip Terry Fund to provide, they're going to pay for it, some much-needed EMDR.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
For firemen, coupled with a new psychotherapeutic tool that's medical. And it has to involve a doctor, so she's got a doctor and the state of Kentucky to offer this joint treatment for an injection to take your parasympathetic level down in your brain so that a lot of the symptoms, re-experiencing hallucinations, flashbacks, and so forth, get reduced, if not eliminated, while you're doing your EMDR.
Oh, wow.
So you can get through the hardest shit with a little bit of a medical boost.
Mm-hmm.
You might only need to have that one injection, might need to have more, but while all that dangerous shit has been reduced, you're getting your trauma resolved free of charge by the state of Kentucky.
That's awesome. That's great for that. I hope that the Buckeye State would see that and sign on.
And Joe's also volunteered to offer to pay any department of any first responder flavor. We'll pay for yoga for your department once a week. And she's done it.
Now that's awesome.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Once a week, I got someplace I can look forward to where I can learn how to stretch, relax, meditate, center myself much. Those are all resources you can do right now, man. Grounding, calling someone you know, finding a connection, and calling Chip Terry Fund. Those are resources you can do right now as you're listening.
Awesome. That's great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Now, bro.
Serious, sir.
Yeah. We've talked a lot on the show about this very practical thing, but to me it's a big deal because every first responder I've talked to has brought this up and had it in their head. You're going to go into therapy. You're going to pay for it. You know it. I love your language here, bro. It's like this is something I have to do. Mm-hmm. There is no choice is gone now.
Right.
I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So did you, in your processing and arranging, think, I can't let the department know?
No. They were trying to push to a different route of help.
Okay.
Basically, they were trying to figure out there was a disconnect between the two of us.
Okay.
And he was trying to figure out what that was. And that's kind of where...
You mean your boss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out what the disconnect was. And with that, I knew there was other stuff going on, prior or before that. And that's kind of where I knew that's when it was time for me to start doing things. So, I mean, if I went, I wasn't afraid if they found out. Let's go that route.
Right. No matter what they did, said, reacted to, whatever.
Yeah, it didn't matter because my life was more important than that damn job at the time.
Awesome.
To be straightforward.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's a job, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't give a shit if you're at McDonald's and it's on fire and the air conditioning unit collapses on top of other guys. You know what they're going to do? They're going to turn around. They're going to hire people to replace you.
That's right.
And the bad thing is that's the problem that we have is it's a job.
Yeah.
You need your own mental health on to be able to take care of yourself.
Don't sell your soul to a department that's going to replace you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And when I left my agency that I dearly loved those guys, loved what I did. Mm-hmm. But when I walked out the doors, it was like taking your hand out of a bucket of water, like I was never there.
Yeah, like it was never there.
20 years of family sacrifice, 20 years of
what you thought was brotherhood and camaraderie.
Yes, self-sacrifice.
Yep.
Couldn't give
then step away and see what happens.
Right. Yeah, two flying fucks.
Yeah, you might get a couple phone calls.
Right. Mark the who?
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you'll have the people that'll bash you also.
There's a long line of those.
That's weird.
Too.
Yeah, send you a message. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a promo for the other podcast, and I got some type of message. not supportive of my colleague here across the table. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, fuck you. And I sent it to Donnie. I'm like, look at this fucking shit. He's like, fuck that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, just totally unsolicited.
Dear God.
So where my mind went is like, somebody needs. That's another person that needs to get into therapy. If you feel the need to reach out to someone who you don't know, I mean, I just know this person,
right?
And they feel the need to speak ill of my bro. Mm-hmm. And I thought, motherfucker, you think for 5 minutes I'm not going to fucking tell him this? You are delusional.
God bless you.
You know, it's standing up for the people that you believe in, right, you know, when they're not around. And that's, to me, that's another point of integrity. You know, you're not going to sit here and shit talk my friend to me.
And somebody's back down. I had numerous times. That's the thing. It kind of that kicks you in the.
You helped develop this person, right?
Yeah. You gave and gave and gave, and when it was time for it to come back, didn't happen.
Some of them are just like, you know, I saw a documentary on the Discovery Channel about an old lion that used to rule the area, and then when this lion was old and decrepit, how the jackals and the hyenas were coming after him.
Yeah, yeah. No more intimidation.
No, that's right. They know he's weak, so we're all going to take our pot shots.
Yeah, yeah.
But when he's strong and can come at you one-on-one, they'll back down and cower. But when you're at your weakest point, then they all pile on.
Exactly. There's a lot of life areas that have that apply. Curious now. You got your first appointment with Jerry. You've talked to Mark. You've made your connection there. The first day of the first appointment, you're approaching your appointment time. You're thinking about what it's going to be like. What's going on inside you?
I knew, again, going into it, that I wasn't going to let it fail, for one. It's kind of like a diet.
I like that.
It's kind of like a diet. I mean, if you're not, and I'm fat as shit, so I don't, you know, I don't diet.
There's two of us at this table that's fat as shit. One of us isn't.
So, but it was the thing is I was not going to let this fail. I had to let this go. And with that being said, I mean, being straightforward, before my appointment, I have my concealed carry, and I took my weapon and locked it up at home before I went there, because I don't know what shit was going to get stirred, but I knew right then and there that it was time to put it away for a little bit.
A commitment to self.
All the way around.
Yeah.
For self-help and for my life, for my family.
Yeah.
For my kids. I mean, that honestly, that's what it boiled down to. It was my kids. I thought about them, and I knew I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
So,
commitment to self includes commitment to living your commitment as a father. And if nothing else pulls you out of your shit, that's a really good one to pull you out.
Yeah.
Because you can focus right on that. They're right there. And they always want you, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Kids are kids, bro.
Exactly.
So, a little bit of sharing for the folks listening. You walk in the room to Jerry's office first day. What I'm feeling as you talk about it is what I call compressed energy. You've like this energy's been building up inside you for God knows how long, and you're about to just blow, and you walked in there and you did. True?
True. Very true.
You just talked.
I vomited every word possible out of my mouth. Yeah, it was instant. It was quick. But then back to the therapy side of things, at no point did I ever think we were going to go straight back to my childhood. At no point did I ever think that. I was like, you know, here I am talking about the shit that's going on right now in my life today. This is the problem I'm having. Well, what happened 42 years ago? What the fuck you mean what happened 42 years ago? What the hell's that got to do with what I just did? And then as you continue therapy and you go through your sessions, you slowly figure out that, oh, damn.
Motherfucker's right.
He was right. he was spot on.
Yeah. All those things are connected.
Yeah, they are. And yeah, they are. I never thought about it that way until the more and more sessions I did.
Yeah. Did you end up doing EMDR with your
I have not done it yet.
Okay.
Like I said, the one that I was talking about was my father's passing.
Right.
And that's one that he said, and he made it clear to me, because you need to be prepared and ready to do this when you want to do it. I have not been able to face that. And
It's tough, bro. I can tell you.
It's, yeah.
This motherfucker, how long did I come to you? Were we in session?
About a year and a half.
Yeah. And it was like every other session. You ready? No. You ready? No. We need to do this, Mark. I know, but I'm not ready.
The one day I showed up, everything was out. He had everything ready to go. And then he asked me, and I'm like, nope, not today.
Why?
I don't know.
I can tell you why I didn't do it.
It's not that I don't want to forget that memory.
Right.
But then I know I need to deal with it. And here's what it boils down to. When my grandfather passed away, my grandma called my dad. My dad got stopped by a train to get up to the house. Dad got up there and said if it wasn't for the train, I would have saved him. So my dad lived with that. Same hand. I was leaving my daughter's tumbling class or gymnastics class. Went to my house, and my mom called my home phone, and I ignored the phone call. I'm like, so, I was going down because Dad got diagnosed with cancer. I was going down to pray with him anyways before his next treatment. And as soon as I got into my vehicle and was getting ready to pull out of my driveway, she's now calling my cell phone. She said something's up. And then at that time, I found, Jeep Wranglers don't go 100 miles an hour, but
Right.
I went 100 miles an hour or whatever the hell it ended up being and got there as quick as possible. And then, like I said, he passed, and he did pass in front of me.
Right.
I mean, I watched him die, and
Oh man, I'm sorry.
I watched him take his last breath. I mean, his eyes went off to the left, and just the sounds he was making. I said I picked him up, put him on the floor, cut the shirt off of him, and at that point, like I said, that's when my chief at the time, the EMS chief, he showed up, and I said, Jeff, I can't do this. And I got up and I walked away. Now, with that being said, I did push one of your officers pretty damn far. I was pretty proud of that, and you would be too.
Pushing meaning?
I pushed him the hell out of my way to get out of my way so I could get my dad on the floor. I picked him up, put him down. But
Get the fuck out of my way because you stand there.
Yeah. I'll tell you later.
That's all right. We don't have to mention them.
Yeah, no. It was just it was one of those things. And then I got to that point that I wanted to get in the back of the medic once we got Dad down the steps. And Jeff's like, Donnie, you don't want to do this. Because you don't want to do this. And,
That's right.
And I thank him to this day for just even saying that.
Right.
Because at first I was like, are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. He's my dad.
I'm trained to do this. But then on the same hand, I was not. And it was my dad. I was not mentally stable to do it.
No.
But anyhow, that goes back to the EMDR. I haven't done it yet. That's the memory that I know I need to do.
I think it's real important to say here, bro, that for both of you, the truth is the therapist respected your need to wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
Nobody pushed you to do it before it was your time.
Right.
And I think that's a really important part of all trauma work for all those listening. You're not going to be pushed into shit. You're going to be with somebody, and it's going to be on your timetable when you start to address stuff. And so if it's this episode, that episode, from this life area, that time of year, whatever, when it's time for that to happen, you'll let the therapist know it's time for that to happen. And that's when it will happen.
Right.
But not until then. The therapist is not going to push you into something that you're not ready for.
Jerry said, and that's why it took 18 months.
That's
Because David wasn't going to push you into that. He had some trauma work to get done before
right.
we had to do that. But I can tell you that EMDR, there's life before and life after it. And life after it is so much better. I can tell you with my personal story, I didn't know what was in my Pandora's box. I didn't want to live it again, and I was scared. Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't do it, was out of fear, because that was some fucked up shit that I dealt with initially. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to do it again.
Right.
But, you know, like with my traumatic incident in 2017, I don't get weepy anymore because you were there, you lived it, but now you're healed through it. And that's what, you know, you are not.
And that's where I think I'm scared. It's almost like I'm scared that I'm going. I don't mean to. I'm scared to lose the memory.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to lose it. But it's not going to hurt as much, bro.
Right. And I know that's something I need to do. And then, like I was explaining earlier, that my mom had, you know, rotator cuff surgery.
Yeah.
And I stayed with her a couple weeks ago, and the triggers of being in that house, spending the night again.
But let me lay some groundwork. You hadn't been there.
I have not. Well, I mean, I've been there, obviously, but I have not spent the night since the night that my dad passed.
Right.
And just getting there and sleeping there again for that night, I relived everything over and over and over that night. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the worst nights of sleep I had since Dad's passing. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of weird. It's just, I don't know. It was.
It's not weird. It's life. It's what we deal with, and that is a traumatic event, and that's one of those traumatic events to a normal, non-first responder.
Right. We have all those too.
Yes.
It's not
that's a very personal, very, you know, and as you already said, I got the tools to be able to fix this.
Yeah.
And I want to fix it. Mm-hmm. But when it's our people, when it's our loved ones, you know, your boss at the time, who I respect beyond, you know, said, hey, look, and that's the leadership side of the job, is you don't want to be in that medic, bro. Mm-hmm. Let me do this for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You've been through enough already. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's where professionalism comes in. But what I want to tell the audience is that EMDR will lessen the impact to where you can enjoy life better. Mm-hmm. And when you're ready, you know, go through the process. There's some setup to it, and it takes a while. And no, there isn't a magic pill or switch that you flip. I mean, there's some setup to it to where you need to be able to get, like with Safe Space. Mm-hmm. You know, last episode, I kind of lost my shit a little bit. But, you know, with the work and the skills that I learned through therapy, I'm able to reground. Am I still reactive right now? Absolutely. But, you know, it's not a matter of getting your poop in a group and getting through a session here. You know, we sit out there and decompressed a little bit.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We can get through this. But, you know, one thing I was looking forward to for our episodes is that non-EMDR and EMDR.
Right.
You know, and have you sit there in the middle, David, and how many times, you know, first thing you said, I remember opening my eyes, I was in your office, what do you got, bro? Mm-hmm. And it was just like, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it just came pouring out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember after my first session, I went home and slept for like 14 hours straight. My wife was like, what the fuck? Because I barely sleep 8 hours, and I just, it was all I could do to get home.
Yeah. Your brain was tired. It did like months worth of reprocessing in 5 minutes.
Yeah. You're like, Mark, you've lost, I mean, the stress that it just came out of my face.
Right. You aged backwards right there in front of me. It was, and I honestly, I can say that happened a lot. Mm-hmm. With a lot of my women who were rape survivors, had been carrying that shit around for decades in some cases. Wow. They look like very different women when they left the office. Well,
and it's kind of hats off to you guys that, you know, you've spent your lifetime doing this, and it's a matter of you're helping people live better lives. And thank you for that. And that's when we sat there in Clearwater.
Yeah.
That day having lunch, and I said, bro, the world needs you. And we do. I mean, the world needs good therapy. And they're good professionals that do it.
Right. And I'm blessed with a lot of people like I'm with in the room right now who like to work. It's makes what I do so infinitely fun is to have somebody I'm with who's working their ass off. Oh my God, it makes me jacked for each hour. It's just like, I can't wait till you come back in. We're just going to hit it. And all right, let's do it.
Well, the one thing that I really took out of our time with Jerry was Jerry's like graduation.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, we sat there, Donnie and I sat there and did, I watched him produce episode 10, and, you know, we were talking about the graduation factor. It's like, you know, you can't get through this. Therapy isn't a life sentence.
No.
You know, you can get to the point to where these professionals can get you back on your feet and you're functioning again and you're good.
Yeah.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
You know, just with us that are in public safety, because you're re-traumatized. And that's what I told my colleague today. Look, man, I'm 2 years out almost. I still dream cop. I'm still working on the traumas. I threw a number on it. I probably got 1,000 that I'm processing, but I'm doing them in batches with Jerry.
Yeah.
And that last batch that we did was fucking life-changing.
Awesome.
It really was. So, you know, Donnie, when you're ready, you know, I'm here for you. If you need to talk about it ahead of time, I'm sure Dr. David would be able to give you some hints and tips.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
only thing I can say is your first session, get a ride home.
Very important.
I can't stress that enough. It was all I could do to hold my head up to drive from David's office to when I lived in Covington and he was in Sydney. That was the longest ever drive home.
Yeah.
And I went straight upstairs and went straight to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not done with therapy. True?
I am not done. That is correct. I have kind of slacked off some on going. I'm not going like I was, every 2 weeks. I don't remember. Yeah, it was every 2 weeks I was going. Or weekly. Shit, I don't remember at this point. But I got to the point now to where it's been, I don't want to say as needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the same hand, I don't want to kind of, I need to continue maintaining everything that I've got going.
Right.
Because if not, it's just going to start right back over.
Right.
And I feel that that's one thing. I need to get back into it and get back to talking to Jerry some more. I've got a lot of shit still. And like I said, even just going back to Mom's house, there's just certain things there that I could probably talk through again and kind of get it out, get it off my chest.
Right.
It's caused a lot of problems at home.
Yeah.
I mentally shut down. And it's one of two things. I mentally shut down, and when I do shut down, I shut everybody out.
Sounds really familiar.
It's like not going to George's for breakfast. when your buddy asks you a couple different times and you don't go,
Yeah.
it's not because of
no. Communication is about the source. It's about you.
Yeah.
I shut down, and then it's either that or the fuses. It's ready to be lit.
Yeah.
Light it.
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July goes off in my mind, and everybody else's gets to deal with it,
Yeah.
which isn't right to them. So
you isolate as a lesser of two evils.
I try to walk away from the situation if I can.
Can you expand on isolation, David? Because the colleague I spoke to today was telling me that they're having problems in their life, but because they're like, well, I chose to isolate. And I went, oh my God, they're not in therapy. So could you expand upon that?
Yeah. Isolation is in part of an almost organic response. And I think especially for us men, we tend to have something large happen emotionally and we withdraw. And so my input basically to women is let your men withdraw. It's a key part of their mental health to give them time and space, physical space, time in their head, in their heart, to be alone. The thing that you do, though, as the man is, I need some time alone. I'm a first responder. I've had something happen. I've just had a session, whatever the fuck it is. I need to be by myself for a while. Okay. The agreement is when I go into into my alone time, the agreement is I will stay there for a specified period of time.
Okay.
15 minutes, 30 minutes,
all right.
an hour. Not a long time, not like a week,
Right.
You go in there for a short time. And
Until my next shift.
and you
Right.
you come out of it, you walk into it with the agreement with your wife, I will be out in blank number of minutes.
Okay.
And then when you come out, your job is to share with your wife what you just went through. Not details, but man, my sadness is huge today. I just am having a hard time shutting off my need to cry. I just feel like I need to cry. Mm-hmm. And I'm not good at that with people. And when I want to cry, I want to be by myself.
Right.
You tell her that. And what she does with this, that's up to her. But you've shared your shit. And now you may be like, dude, I'm not done. I got more crying to do. I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay. Whatever it is. And you go back into your time alone and you do what you need to do and you come back out in that specified period and you say, here's what I just went through. Here's what I need now. Wife's probably going to say after one or two of those, what can I do? What can I do to help here? One, don't give me too much shit when I'm in there for 15 minutes. Just accept that I need that 15 minutes. I need that time.
Okay.
Two, you don't need to ask me a lot of questions about what's going on. I will tell you. And if you do have a question, it's okay that you ask it, but I can't guarantee you I can answer every fucking thing.
What do you say to the spouse that says, I don't know how to handle you when you're like this?
Or it's just like you to walk away.
I'm a man, honey. Mm-hmm. It's part of the reason we're together. As a man, I handle emotion like this. I feel it, I go alone, I express it, and I return to the situation. As a man, if you can't accept me doing that, then we're going to have a really hard time. There's going to be times when that has to happen. I know this is going to be a crude metaphor, but when it's time to take a shit, I close the door. I have my own experience in the toilet. You know?
Okay.
And so I'm allowed to have privacy when I express emotion.
Okay.
And for all of us, men, women, old, young, emotion is often denied, not useful. Okay. Often emotion is overwhelming, not useful. Emotion you take into your own alone time and you process it in private. And then when it's expressed, the energy's out of you, then you can have your dialogue. Then you can sit down with your kids, your wife, your priest, whatever, and say, dude, this is what I'm going through right now. But there has to be room for you to be alone and express that emotion.
What advice can you give to the first responders' significant other? And I've heard this dozens of times, that when I'm really fucking triggered, I don't know what to do with you. And I express to them, this is what I need. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to be in this room, or I'm going to be in this space. I just need you to be present with me.
Awesome.
When I come out, and they're not there.
Yeah.
They don't know what that means.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Can you share that with our audience? What does it mean to be present?
Get really specific and concrete here. As the man, you go into your space, you process, you come back out. Are you able to let her touch you?
Okay, keep going.
And if you can't, you tell her that.
Okay.
I can be with you right now. I can sit with you right now. I can share my experience with you right now. But I am so jacked up physically that I can't touch you right now. And I can't allow you to touch me. It's not like I'm about to be violent. It's just that I've got so much, sometimes it's sadness, man.
Oh, God.
And, yes. and somebody walks up to you and puts their finger on your skin and you want that to be kind of private, for God's sake. It seems completely reasonable to me to want privacy when you're sobbing.
Okay.
So you tell your lady, how you handle me is you don't handle me.
Okay.
You accept me.
Okay. Don't try to fix anything.
Right.
So if I need to go in there and I need to sit on the couch and I need to watch something stupid,
Yep.
I just need you to sit there with
Yep.
me.
Just sit there with him, and if you
Don't say anything. Don't try and fix me. Don't try and give me therapy.
Yep.
I pay Dr. David for that. And jump in any time because I can see the squirrel on the wheel inside your head, Donnie.
Mm-hmm.
I just need you to be here with me in this space while I deal with my fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is the information for the spouses.
absolutely.
I just need you to just, and we may be here for an hour.
Yes.
We may be here for 10 minutes, but I just need you to be present. I don't need you to try and fix anything.
Nope.
Just sit here in the fucking room with me.
Just let me be for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem too with those first responders with kids and everything too is like the trigger when you get home. They hey daddy and or mommy, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But it's also at the same time where you need that space, and you blow up on them. And that's it's not fair to them. They don't have a clue. Daddy's an asshole because he works at this department. I mean,
Yeah, right.
it's a book I'm going to write. I just came up with the title.
Yeah.
It's weird how that works.
Goes with the other book, Why is Daddy in a Dress?
Because he was a policeman, I know.
Right?
Shots fired across
well
the table.
played, man. Well played.
So, like you said. But anyhow, like I was saying,
Blue Canary.
Yes, that blue canary.
Fucking hose dragger.
You wish you
Eat till I'm tired, sleep till I'm hungry. I only say that out of envy. Fucker.
like we were saying.
Fine.
So yeah, your kids, on the other hand, that's kind of where things they don't understand, and that's
Right.
It's not fair to them. I don't know if you have any recommendations for that, but like again, the kids is the hard part for that, and they can sometimes push that trigger so much further,
Goodness,
and
yes.
it's like, oh my god, just shut up for a minute, something. But anyhow, sorry. That's
but expand on that, because that's something, that's our dialogue at this point, that's very important, because the kids don't get it.
Yeah. And then a lot of times you get, well, why are you being so mean to them? I'm like, I'm
in defense mode.
Exactly. I am, but I'm not. I'm not meaning to be, but I am triggered. I need space.
That's right.
I need peace.
I mean, you feel like,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean,
Keep going.
it kind of gives you that feeling that, like, well, what a piece of shit I am at the moment.
Right.
But, and that's your internal feeling, because like, I just treated my kids like this. But then
then you start internalizing it.
Then all of a sudden it's like, I did this, I did that, I did this. And then you start acting out, whatever. And that's the problem, that it
builds.
It builds.
So for the spouses out there that are listening, be the buffer between the children and your first responder. Redirect them.
Right. Have a way of again, acceptance is a really powerful thing. Dad needs some time. That's pretty much all we need to say. All moms need to say is,
Yes.
Dad needs some time.
Yeah.
Can't wait till he gets out of there either. But he needs to be in there by himself right now.
It's like a decompression chamber.
Absolutely.
It's like coming up from
Yes.
the deep.
Yes.
You need to spend some time getting, that out of your system. What do they call those chambers when you come up?
Yeah.
When the deep sea divers,
Yeah.
you have to be that decompression chamber.
Yeah.
It takes X amount of time to come out of that.
Exactly.
Out of that pressure.
A beautiful example.
And children don't understand that. And I was the same way. I was just terrible. Just biting their heads off for no apparent reason. The only thing they wanted to do was be with Dad.
Right.
But on the same hand, and I'll throw this out there on my side of it, you still need to be there for your kids too.
Absolutely.
Because there's so much shit that we miss as first responders.
Right.
That we're not there for things. And
I know.
then when you're home and you get told you're not here. And
you're never home, Daddy.
you know you're not home.
Oh, yeah.
You are, but you're not. Because you're mentally somewhere else.
Right.
And that's where your therapy comes into play and helps you like you said, center yourself. Figure out where you're at. Okay, I'm not on that scene. How you doing? Let's go talk. With your kids, your spouse, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where it needs to. That definitely needs help.
As I told a first responder last week, this is a very much a common pattern. I get off my shift and I'm upset. Mm-hmm. And I'm really tired, and I'm really hungry, and I really want a beer bad. And I get home, and the first thing that happens is my wife is asking me, telling me all these things that I need to do. Mm-hmm. And then the kids start with, Daddy this, Daddy that. And I know what's going to happen when I walk in that door. About 5 minutes later, max, I'm going to be ready to blow the roof off the fucking place. I said, okay. How about we resequence your protocol there? Like, you end work, you don't go home. You don't go to a bar. You don't go to your mistress's house. You don't go. You go.
Guilty.
You now, David.
You get in your car. Mm-hmm. You go someplace alone, and you express the emotion in your car before you go home.
No, I like that.
If you're ready to tear the roof off your fucking house, you can imagine the words you're going to hear from all these people in the house, and you just can't stand it. You all that shit that's happened in your shift. You get in your car, you go to your someplace quiet and private, alone, and you start to scream. And you scream and you pound the steering wheel, the seat next to you, your briefcase, whatever you got with you. You start to express the energy that you gathered up during your shift, and you don't go home until that energy is spent. And that may involve some crying. Might end up being 20 minutes instead of 10. Might be a half an hour instead of 5, whatever. But you want to feel assured that when you walk back in that house and your baby is looking at you, that you don't have that explosive quality, energy in you. At that point, it's spent.
Yes.
So you spend the energy. You honor the energy. First of all,
right.
God, I'm having emotion. Good for me. Holy shit! After all that happened, if I didn't have emotion, I'd be dead. So yes, I have emotion. I honor it. I respect it. I express it. I keep it private. And these people over here don't need to see it, hear it, touch it, smell it. That's mine, and it's not theirs. And if I get home, because we had this conversation, because he did it worked really, really well for about 2 hours. After a couple hours, this kid, 3-year-old girl, she's chatty. And finally, she's asked him the same question the 14th time in the last 5 minutes. And he's like, I need some time away. Right. So he looks at his wife and he says, I need 15 minutes. Can you give me 15 minutes? I can give you 15 minutes. So he took himself out back behind his barn, pounded some shit, and then walked back in. Hey, honey, let me put you to bed. And everything's good. Because the energy is honored and respected and expressed and used. You don't have to share it with anybody except yourself. And that works for men, women, people of all ages. Honor the energy, but spend it before you interact with your children.
Go to the fucking gym. Go to the treadmill. Go do heavy chest day or heavy legs day.
Jump on your bike.
Yeah.
And sprint for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
When you get home.
Burn that shit.
That's right. That's right. There's things you can do to honor the emotion and express it in private without inflicting it. Because the other part of this that kind of goes unsaid is all of you walk around with massive amounts of guilt over all the shit you haven't been able to do.
Oh my God.
And so now you're going to add to that guilt with, I'm a crappy father.
Right.
I'm a shit of a husband.
I just treated my kid like shit for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
They were just excited to see me, and I'm being a dick bag.
Yeah. So it's like now I have 20 more reasons to feel bad about myself. Let's don't do that.
Next thing you know, you're wanting to do the ultimate.
Right. So let's honor the energy, express the energy.
I like that. Honor the energy. Don't run from it. Express it and spend it.
Yes. Yes.
I like that.
It's good for us to have emotion, and it's maybe even better for us to have the judgment about how to use it.
Again, it's tools on your tool belt. We all have it. I mean, every one of us have it at the end of a bad day. You know, go express it and express it to where it's non-harmful.
Yeah.
Especially to the people that mean the most to us. And, you know, and that's why I was talking with my colleague today, how many public or first responder, public safety people's marriages that end in shit.
Right.
You know, we are the number one divorce rate ever. You know, a colleague of mine told me that when he was in processing at his job as a police officer, the HR director told me, "You love your wife?" "Yeah." "Well, that won't last long because you'll be divorced in less than 5 years." And I went, "What?" He said, "Oh, yeah, this fucking bitch told me that."
Lord Almighty.
But she wasn't wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I didn't have the balls to tell him.
not.
I said, well, the problem is she's pretty much fucking right because we don't know how to spend that. We don't know how to spend that energy. We don't know how to disperse of it.
Right.
You know, and I'm just as guilty of it. You know, when I was 10 years into the job and, you know, this shit was building up and I wasn't dealing with it and I didn't have that tool that you just gave the world. Thank you. You know, hit the gym and quit eating like shit and I'm not sleeping worth a fuck. And how do we fix that?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to go to therapy for it. You can do some self-help and some
Absolutely.
self-care.
Yeah.
But you need to know what the triggers are.
Right.
And you need to know what they look like, which is why we have the show.
Yeah. Yep. So you're prepared. You're not anxious and vigilant. You're just prepared.
Right. Your shield.
Yeah.
Within.
You've developed your shield within. You know what you got. You're in charge of your space, bro.
Well, I think both sides, the blue side and the red side, which is police and fire, you know, we will willingly run into the danger to save someone we don't know. And kind of the pretense of this
And you
show.
don't save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Save me. Need to save me.
Save yourself.
Good time for an outro.
Cool. Just happen to have one right here.
Hey, you know what, Donnie?
I don't know.
Key the music.
Oh, got it.
May your days and nights find you strong and safe. May you take your place as your family's face, as you do the shit that we won't do, as you embrace the risk you must go through. May you grow in strength and heal and find your heart, your soul, and your mind. You look at your life and grin. You have a home, a shield within.